if you think about communication, right, we want to say things in a way that can be heard, not to just get out our anger. And it's that concept of keep your eye on your prize. If the prize is to get your partner to understand something differently, you can only do that if you're minimizing his or her defensiveness, being clear, being willing to understand your partner's viewpoint. And I call it practicing gentle assertiveness and asking for what you want. I mean, my husband, good thing he's out because he might laugh at the gentle, but I try it off. And if something's really important, I go gentle, right? And I drop my voice. So when I talk about using good communication skills, it's so you get what you want or need. Next slide, please. So there's a really good, it came from an article, she turned it into a book, this Amy Sutherland. And her quote, she was an animal trainer. And she talked about, it's in the article, what Shimu taught me about a happy marriage. And when I do workshops, sometimes I pass out copies of it. But she was an exotic animal trainer who talked about lessons from training animals that she applies to her marriage. And I love this quote. She said, nobody ever got a seal to balance a ball on its nose by nagging. And, nagging's funny because I don't like the stereotype of women nagging, but she's right? She's right. That seal would never learn to balance it, okay? And it's also about shaping approximations when they get it partly right? You give them a macro, all that. But help your partner, i.e. seal, learn what you need or want. Okay, next slide, please. Ask rather than criticize. This is one that I really try to be mindful of, right? So anytime we start out with, I can't believe you don't know better than to do whatever, what's wrong with you? How many times do I have to ask you to? Not that I've ever said any of these. So as hard as it is, ask for what you want instead of repeatedly telling him or her what they did wrong. It's that asking, and describe what you want your spouse to accomplish in behavioral terms. It's like working with that seal, and it's not meant to be disrespectful. You spell it out, right? I have a new pup. He's learning how to greet me, right? Not with muddy paws on my chest, right? But to sit and be a good boy, right? And you shape up when they're getting closer. And I'm also saying focus on the 20% that really matters. All too often I see good marital change, and then one says, but what about this? And they kind of trample on all the new change. So, okay, next slide, please. So empathic listening, it's often called active listening. It is a skill that you can never, ever go wrong. And I know like police will use it to defuse people, or somebody's on a building, right? And maybe to jump, they use empathic listening. And essentially, and you could find this anywhere on the internet or most any books, listen and paraphrase what you hear your partner saying without adding commentary or debate. And the phrase you can use, it's what counselors learn to do. Let me see if I understand what you're saying. And you don't add any more, and you don't debate it. It's helpful to respect and acknowledge your partner's point of view, even if you disagree with it. That's why you don't start with what you want to say. You can even say, let me think about that, and you buy time. And acknowledging your partner's point of view doesn't mean you're agreeing with it. You don't have to debate it. It means you understand it.